Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jana Vallabha Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astashata Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nityalila Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astashata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namachaya Shida Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopinath Shamakund Radha Kund Giriraj Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Mathura Dhama Ki Jai. Mayapur Navadvip Dhama Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Ki Jai. Yamuna Maya Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Shri Harinama Sankirtan Yagna Ki Jai. Cow Protection Ki Jai. New Govardhana Farm Community Ki Jai. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Oh, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Reading from Sri Caitanya Caritamrita by Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, commented by Srila Prabhupada. So we continue the chapter, Pastimes of the Lord in His Youth, Adya Lila chapter 17, text 142. Udata loka bange kajira kara pushpavana. Vishtari Virnala Ihadasa Vrindavana. Udata Loka Bange Kajira Gara Pushpavana. Vishtari Varnila Ihadasa Vrindavana. Udata Loka Bange Kajira Gara Pushpavana. Vishtari Vanila Ihadasa Vrindavana. Udatta, agitated. Loka, persons. Bhange, break. Kajira, of the Kazi. Gara, house. Pushpavana, flower garden. Vistari, elaborately. Varnila, described. Iha, this. Dasa Vrindavana, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Naturally, some of the people who were very much agitated began to retaliate the Kazi's actions by wrecking his house and flower garden. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has elaborately described this incident. Please repeat. Naturally, some of the people who were very much agitated began to retaliate the Kazi's actions by wrecking his house and flower garden. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has elaborately described this incident. So there's no purport, I keep reading. Tabe Mahaprabhu Tare Dwarate Vashila Bhavya Loka Pataya Kajira Bolaila. Translation. Thereafter, when Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu reached the Kazi's house, he sat down by the doorway and sent some respectable persons to call for the Kazi. Dura Haita Aila Kaji Mata Moyai Kajira Vashaila Prabhu Samanakariya. When the Kazi came, his head bowed down. The Lord gave him proper respect and a seat. Purport of Srila Prabhupada. Some of the men in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's civil disobedience movement were agitated because they could not control their minds. But the Lord was thoroughly peaceful and sober and unagitated. Therefore, when the Kazi came down to see him, the Lord offered him proper respect and a seat because he was a respectable government officer. Thus the Lord taught us by his personal behavior in pushing on our Sankirtan movement of Krishna consciousness. We might have to face difficult days, but we should always follow in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and do the needful according to the time and circumstances. I compiled a couple of notes on this short purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. As members of the Krishna consciousness movement, especially those devotees who've been around for decades, they know very well that so much sacrifice is made just to come to this point in time. We have such a beautiful farm facility, beautiful deities, temples all around the world, and so many sincere devotees working so hard and tolerating difficulties and challenges. This is the material world, so we have to take it as it is. It is not always easy. Nevertheless, we should feel grateful to the hard work and even painstaking of so many devotees. Even in Australia in the 70s, devotees had to endure difficulties. I feel very grateful to their association and their blessings. And obviously they're getting the mercy and recognition of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, of course, because yagna also means sacrifice. This is not just some sentiment, as Srila Prabhupada explains in his previous purport. This Krishna consciousness movement is not a sentimental religious movement. This is actually a scientific process, and we are here to help humanity at giving them enlightened knowledge based on authorities, based on the revealed scriptures, ultimately the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, it is very interesting, Srila Prabhupada explains in this purport that how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dealt with Kazi. Kazi was a great offender, a government official. And we can see that even in mundane societies all around the world, to various degrees, where the devotees have to confront or being confronted by these godless governments, do not recognize any religious principles. Sometimes they claim to be radical religionists who have no understanding of the scientific process of God consciousness. So they make a state secular and they ban or prosecute sincere devotees who actually endeavoring to spread Krishna consciousness. So this is a difficult times on and off. As I said earlier, that the material world is like a tsunami. On and off we get a bit of difficult times, sometimes very difficult times. And there are many stories in the Mahabharata and the Ramayana and all the Puranic texts. There's constant tribulations and difficulties and confrontations between the evil forces, Asuric, and the devas, the godly persons. So, not to speak of challenging the supreme authority, the supreme personality of Godhead. Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, they were the ultimate examples of the lowest qualities of existence: greed, envy, lust. They're very, very low qualities, which keeps the living entities bound to this material world. So, nevertheless, we have to deal with them, and requires intelligence and navigation. Because as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although there was a reason to be angry at Kazi, he treated it with respect. Prophet he must see. Kazi realized his mistake. Of course, Mahaprabhu's presence was so powerful that Kazi, the Islamic ruler, who was a servant of the great emperor, he felt so affected by Mahaprabhu's presence that he bowed. And Mahaprabhu treated him with respect. Please take your seat. And of course, as we read the chapters, it will be a very interesting, a very enlivening conversation between Kazi and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there will be very relevant questions. But this is very important also for the preachers to develop some kind of sophistication to deal with the material world, with our dealings with opponents, and otherwise we can accelerate the difficulties. And Srila Prabhupada, you can see, Srila Prabhupada was expert navigating, especially in India and Mumbai, Bombay, Juhu Beach case, and so many other cases in the Western world, that the devotees had to deal with government officials, and not to speak of even the communist regime in the Eastern European bloc, where so much difficulties the devotees had to endure suffering and pain for spreading Krishna consciousness. So the preachers of Krishna consciousness are the most glorious. They're most glorious because they're taking all kinds of risks to spread Krishna consciousness, to do good to others. This is the true business of a devotee, to do good to others, to help humanity, to alleviate the suffering and pain. And so any devotee who contributes to this Krishna consciousness movement, any type of service, is a glorious person. Even just for some time, a devotee is recognized by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Because we dealing with the forces of Kali Yuga, this age is very fallen, as we all experience and know, even just from our lives, our previous experiences, where we come from and where we are now, by the grace of the devotees, the assembly of the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. We have some strength, some taste, so let's cooperate together in the service of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I remember when I used to visit my parents in Hungary in the 80s, and I was helping Shivaram Maharaj in the early days, and was no temple, no farm community, no New Vrajadam, Budapest temple. It was very difficult days, and Maharaj, myself, and a few of us, we setting up home programs. And the government right away issued a notice to all of us, especially to me, because I was coming as an Australian citizen to Hungary, that if I continue preaching in Hungary, minimum 5-year jail right away. I got a written notice. And so we had to deal with this. We had to be diplomatic also, and we had to deal with the officials. We didn't just oppose them and argue with them, and often makes it worse. So devotees have to be very careful, learn how to deal with these opponents sensitively, and at the same time pushing on the Sankirtan movement. This requires a bit of intelligence and sincerity, obviously, because not easy. We can get challenged in so many ways. And especially many parts of the world in the early days, late 60s, early 70s, devotees had to endure a lot of difficulties, even with Harinam Sankirtan, like in Melbourne and Sydney, so much difficulties. But the devotees had faith, and they pushed the Sankirtan mission. Often they tolerated personal difficulties just to help the temple. So we are so fortunate to have this beautiful family, beautiful devis. It's incredible, especially those devotees who've been around for decades. They know what we have here. What a treasure, what a jewel. Srila Prabhupada's grace, his love for all of us, giving us, and it's getting better and better. What we have to do is to be faithful and loyal to Srila Prabhupada, and we go forward, all of us, collectively and individually. That simple faith, which comes from hearing, following the process, of course, and associating with the Vaishnavas, we get strength and we'll have inspiration and aspirations, because what happens, as we all know, as we practice Krishna consciousness years after years, we develop desire to advance in spiritual life, to actually develop adhikari, the feelings and emotions that takes us to higher realms of devotion service. As Rupa Goswami mentions in the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, about the different stages of devotional service and the different realizations, and ultimately coming to the levels of prema and many, many different subtleties. When one actually feels love, attachment, and an intense desire to be with Krishna. So the human life has an objective. This is not just meant to be living for the sensual pleasures and temporary objectives which most living entities live for. We actually meant to develop our devotion service along with spreading Krishna consciousness. But they all go together, because when we take hardships for Krishna, we become very attached. We sincerely pray to Krishna. I remember when I used to go distribute books in Sydney, you may know, some of you know obviously, Brigupati Prabhu used to go door to door, knocking on the doors, very difficult suburbs, western suburbs. And we were physically hit many times. And especially we had difficulty with the Christians and many other. But I realized right away that by doing this work, we developed the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava, going door to door, without any separate endeavor. You just develop the humility, the tolerance. You pray. You become a poet. You pray to Krishna. Those prayers are so sincere. And every time we sold the book, it was out of this world experience. Such a blissful experience. I'll never forget it. That's why I'm still here, after decades. Because of those times we're going door to door, begging the fallen conditioned souls, just like Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur used to go door to door begging, please chant the holy names of Shri Hari, Lord Krishna. Please chant, because this is the only hope. And there's a great Sankirtan Yajna, as we sing the Shikshakshaka every morning. It's a great benediction. This is the only hope in this blazing fire of material existence. Chanting the holy names of Krishna, Sankirtana, congregational chanting together, and spreading Krishna consciousness for the benefit of the whole world. Without Krishna consciousness, not a single person can be happy. There's no question of happiness without Krishna consciousness. It takes a bit of time to realize, but when we are preaching, we realize no one is really happy. And we met people from all walks of life, and they were suffering, really. That was my realization. All kinds of anxiety, especially mental anxiety. They were confronted with all kinds of difficulties. So we felt a level of compassion. Of course, Srila Prabhupada's compassion is unlimited. We felt something there, because we feel when we see these people are suffering, we want to help them. And one of the best things we can do, offer them Krishna Prasad, the holy name, Srila Prabhupada's books, encourage them to come to the temple, initial blessings of Srila Prabhupada. So a devotee should be helping the fallen conditioned souls. Of course, not everyone has the capacity or strength or even the time or facility to be actively preaching Krishna consciousness, but somehow or other support the preaching mission of Mahaprabhu. We all get the mercy of Mahaprabhu. And how Caitanya Mahaprabhu dealt with guys, Srila Prabhupada says is that in pushing on our Sankirtan movement of Krishna consciousness, we might have to face difficult days but we should always follow in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and do the needful according to time and circumstances. So the times are changing. So many things going on in this world. You can see, sadly, there are wars, confrontations, conflicts, especially in Central and Eastern Europe. It's getting very heavy now. I'm getting feedback from devotees that there's so much suffering. Even devotees dying now. So we can see that when ignorance takes place, then so much suffering takes place. Consequences are very heavy. Because we're living in a godless civilization. Kali Yuga is a very, very heavy, really. The only hope for this world is spreading Krishna consciousness. It will happen gradually. It takes time because there's too many godless governments, societies. They need the knowledge of Krishna consciousness. And as the books distributed by very dedicated Vaishnavas, there's a hope. These books are very powerful. Any book distributor feels and convinced that these books have the power and potency to change the whole world for the better. Just Srila Prabhupada's books can change the world. And we have to have that faith. And will happen. And we'll know as time goes, because we can see how much development here. And we have difficulties even now, but we have to face it. And the devotees should face the difficulties, just like Arjuna faced the difficulty. There's so many stories in Sri Chaitanya Caritamrita also. The great devotees suffered for Mahaprabhu. Haridas Thakur, for example. But there's always a way to deal with this world. And we can see from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Vidura, who was helping to create some kind of a peace between the opponents, always trying to help the devotees. He himself was the greatest devotee himself, very elevated personality. And so the devotees have to come to a point that they deal with the difficulties with a sober mind, with knowledge and dignity, peaceful mind. Then we can come to a conclusion. And you see, as Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, that some of the followers of Mahaprabhu, some of the in a congregation, they were attacking Kazi's garden and house and confronting. So, and Prabhupada says that is because they could not control their minds. So that's not the way to deal with the difficulties. We have to pray to Krishna sincerely to give us the intelligence to face the difficulty and come out successfully. Just a few minutes, I just made a few notes, just summarizing this short purport here. I've got a couple of minutes. I just read it. I noted this down yesterday. The Lord's example of composure and respect. Lord Chaitanya's treatment of the Kazi serves as a powerful example of how to handle opposition with dignity and respect. The Kazi was an influential government officer who had initially been opposed to the Sankirtan movement. Despite this, when the Kazi approached Lord Chaitanya with his head bowed, the Lord did not react with hostility or aggression. Instead, he offered the Kazi a seat and treated him with proper respect due to his position. The act teaches us that even when faced with opposition, a devotee should remain peaceful and respectful, recognizing the social and political structures of the time while remaining true to spiritual principles. Just like Prabhu, Deva Gaurahari Prabhu gave a very nice class yesterday about this also, that Caitanya Mahaprabhu and the devotees were cooperating, and they were law-obeying citizens, but when they stopped the Sankirtan mission, this is when they had to be affirmative and face the challenges and even confront the government, because this is the desire, desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to spread Krishna consciousness. And we should be firm and convinced that this is the only mercy, the only hope for this world. Srila Prabhupada consistently emphasized this principle in his teachings. He often quoted the verse from Bhagavad Gita 5:18, quote, "The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog-eater." This verse highlights the importance of seeing all living entities with all equal respect, recognizing the presence of the Supreme Lord within their hearts. By offering the Kazi respect, Lord Chaitanya demonstrated this equal vision and the necessity of respecting others regardless of their apparent position or past actions. Application in difficult times. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that some of the devotees in the civil disobedience movement were agitated because they could not control their minds. In contrast, Lord Chaitanya remained thoroughly peaceful and sober. This distinction underscores the importance of inner discipline and the ability to remain unagitated even in the face of provocation. Srila Prabhupada taught that the strength to remain composed and non-reactive comes from sincere devotion, service, and the practice of Krishna consciousness. I made a note here about dealing with authority, respecting authority while upholding principles. So this is also, we have to learn these dealings with officials and governments, and how to deal with them when we're spreading Krishna consciousness, not to cause unnecessary agitation. At the same time, we're moving forward. We're not timid. We're fighting for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, spreading Krishna consciousness. Sankirtan means fight. And we're on a different battle here. The balance of Lord Chaitanya maintained between respecting the Kazi as a government official and standing firm in his mission is a delicate one that devotees often face. Srila Prabhupada himself navigated similar challenges during his preaching in the West. For example, when confronted with immigration issues or societal opposition in the early days of the Hare Krishna movement, Srila Prabhupada always dealt with the authorities with respect while simultaneously advocating for the principles of Krishna consciousness. In one instance, when the devotees were harassed by the police for chanting on the streets, Srila Prabhupada advised them to continue chanting, but also to respect the law by obtaining the necessary permits. This approach reflects the same attitude Lord Chaitanya displayed towards the Kazi, respecting authority without compromising the principles of devotion service. In conclusion, Lord Chaitanya's interaction with the Kazis is a masterclass in Vaishnava etiquette, teaching us the importance of maintaining respect and composure in all circumstances. By following in his footsteps and adhering to the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, we can effectively navigate the challenges that arise in the cause of spreading Krishna consciousness, always remembering that our behavior is a reflection of our spiritual principles. So, to spread Krishna consciousness, we also have to require the necessary qualities: humility, tolerance, compassion, love for the conditioned souls, because they're eternal part and parcels of Krishna. They are brothers and sisters in the material world, and they are suffering want of Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada and Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu setting a perfect example for us, how to be a gentleman, how to feel for the suffering of others, at the same time helping and pushing on the Sankirtan mission. So it's not easy, because we get confronted and sometimes we don't know how to deal with it. So many difficulties. Material world means difficulty. There's no question of no difficulty. The material world is designed for that. So we realize that, and we should act in a way that Krishna recognizes us by our humble service and our compassionate mood. And this is how we can have an impact on our communities, individually, collectively. We can even influence government officials, and see how Prabhupada was preaching in the West. Like when he visited Mauritius, met the Prime Minister, and met so many important personalities, and Srila Prabhupada, obviously, his personal presence is so influential, powerful. So we may learn the art of preaching, art of spreading Krishna consciousness. And this is how we can somehow or other spread more and more. Not just spreading Krishna consciousness, but we educate humanity, educate society in the science of devotion service. That's one of the main service of a Brahmana, to educate others in the science of Krishna consciousness. So I'd like to conclude here. So this is a very short purport, but quite a few important philosophical points here. That preaching is a very, very important aspect of Krishna consciousness. We follow the mood and the guidelines and teachings of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and feel compassion for our brothers and sisters in the material world, and want to spread Krishna consciousness in the service of Srila Prabhupada and our spiritual masters. Somehow or other have an impact. And that's how we also advance in Krishna consciousness. That's how we develop those adhikari, nice qualities, and then ultimately, hopefully, we get the ultimate mercy, returning back home, back to Godhead. Is there any question or comments? Right.
Thank you for the class. We read in the Bhagavad Gita how the Pandavas' numerous attempts to resolve opposition from the Kauravas fell on deaf ears and eventually resulted in the Kurukshetra war. And it's almost as if Krishna was not sanctioning that war, but I guess my question is fighting and violence, is it ever justified when this asuric nature is unable to be pacified and unable to be brought to some sort of reasonable, rational...
Yes. It's a very good question, thank you, because obviously at some point we have to face them. Maybe not the so-called pacifists. So it's like even Krishna had to, ultimately had to encourage Arjuna to face the battle, because at some point the asuras don't give in. And preaching, like I said earlier, preaching means taking up some difficulties, tolerating. Not that we want to cause difficulty, we're trying to minimize, just like Vidura was trying to create a peace between the parties, and Arjuna and Krishna, or they're trying to keep peace with Duryodhana and his companions, trying to have an agreement, but at some point, violence is necessary, unfortunately. This is the world we live in. So, just like we had the battlefield of Kurukshetra, there are cases when devotees have to, and you can see even in the universal celestial plane where the demigods and the demons, asuras and the devas having their confrontations. There's so many examples. And of course, they're taking shelter of Brahmaji, and even Lord Brahma had to invite Lord Narayan, so much difficulties. And you see all the avatars, at some point they come in because there was a confrontation between the demons and the demigods. So, and of course, Krishna in his avatar, Yuga avatars, or Narayan form, he comes and supports the devotees. So he manifests his confidential pastimes and he protects the devotees. You can see perfect examples of Narasingha, Lord Ramachandra, and all the, you can see all the leelas and pastimes that Krishna always comes at the crucial time. And like Arjuna had to face the opponents, Krishna was there for him. So this is it. We have to have that faith that the devotee will be successful. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, my devotees never vanish. Krishna protects his devotees. But we get tested. And preaching means be facing the difficulties on the behalf of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And we depend on Krishna, just like Prahlad Maharaj. I know it's a very high level of realization, but this is what, if we really, really want to advance in Krishna consciousness, we have to learn to depend on Krishna, on the holy names of Krishna, and Krishna will save us. And Arjuna had to do that. Arjuna was not even afraid of for himself. Just he had relatives on the other side. He felt love for them, and not to speak of Dronacharya, the gurus, teachers on the other side. He was hesitant, as you know. But he understood Krishna. He surrendered to Krishna and realized that there's no need for lament about temporary, material, mortal existence. We have to see through this and see Krishna's desire, intention, what he wants to do. So we just surrender to that, because Krishna's got his grand scale plan. So we just, we have to. We have no other choice. We have to accept his plan. Whether you like it or not, we have to. Krishna's got his plan. So Arjuna realized. And the question is good because, yes, at some point we just have to face the difficulty. And if there's no peaceful agreement, then we have to. And Duryodhana was very stubborn when it comes to make a peace with the Pandavas. He would not give them not even the smallest piece of land into a needle. So you can see that sometimes the leaders of countries, they're so stubborn and demonic, the devotees either go away, go for a different location, or they have to confront them. There's no other choice. But this is not to say that we advocate aggression. So it's a fine line here. The devotee is not into aggression. We're not aggressive. We are peaceful. Prabhupada says that devotees are peaceful. But we're not timid. We are ready to face. And we'll be facing some or other. Ultimately, we have our personal battle. See? We still have this psychophysiological makeup, happiness and distress, old age. There's a battle already happening. But there's a larger scale battle also. So there's some, just like Mahatma Gandhi started this pacifist movement, but Prabhupada said that doesn't work, because at the end had to be violence. Because in the material world, the only way to deal with the demons is to kill them. That's what Krishna did. I mean, an extreme example, of course. But there's so many ways to spread Krishna consciousness without violence. There's so many beautiful ways, like distributing Krishna prasadam, distributing literature, and gradually the collective psychic of the society will be purified, will be softened, and will be opened up a bit more, and they're more receptive. The government will change gradually, because people elect their right leaders gradually. So Krishna consciousness purifies everyone around us gradually. It takes time, because we're dealing with countless living entities all around. It doesn't happen overnight. But you can see that even in Western countries, so many things changing for the better. There's a lot of bad things going on too, but there's a lot of good things happening also. We can see that. More people looking into this now. They're looking for solutions, especially when they can't trust their governments anymore. So they're looking for solutions. So Krishna consciousness is the ultimate solution. Hare Krishna. Bhagavan Srila Prabhupada, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami.